Welcome to Behind the YugiTuber, where we talk to your favorite stars about your questions. Tonight, I have the most charismatic man in the community, Cimo. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, we're going to start this off by giving you a few generic questions that I have for everybody that comes on the show, and then we will ask you some more personal ones geared towards your channel. So, of course, the first one to start off with is, what made you want to start doing videos? Did you have a certain channel that inspired you? Do you have like a certain role model? I know a lot of people said they started by watching Galactic God and other the earlier channels. So, what made you start?
So this is actually like one of my favorite stories to tell because it's really funny. So I started wanting to make YouTube videos because I took a brief hiatus from the game from around like when Teledad format started, and then I got back into it like around Dragon Ruler time. And when I got back into it, I was, scouring the internet, YouTube specifically, for like videos to kind of like get caught back up with the game. And as I'm watching videos, like the content producers that were out there, the big guns at the time, it was like MCole40, things like that. And I'm watching one of Robbie's videos, and I'm thinking to myself, his info is really good, but it's just like, I'm really fucking bored watching this. And I was like falling asleep. And I was thinking to myself,
fucking annihilate him.
I know, and it's funny because like he knows this story, and so we laugh about it now. But it's funny because had that not occurred to me, I never would have thought to myself, well, I could deliver the same level of info, but I could do it in a much more enthusiastic, energetic, I guess much more captivating way from a viewer perspective. And so I just thought, fuck it, let's try it myself. And so I did. And if you watch some of my very early stuff, it's pretty terrible, but it was still like a lot more high energy than like what a lot of other people were putting out. So, and that was mainly because of nerves and stuff too. But as I did it more and more, I got a lot more comfortable, and then it pretty much just naturally became what it is today.
So you've released a lot of videos, especially within this year. What was your favorite one you've made so far?
Wow. Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to think because I've released a lot of good videos. I'm trying to think because I've released so many videos. I think I've released like over 700 now, which is like a lot.
Yeah, I was trying to count while you were talking, but I was like, oh, I'm never gonna actually count them all before you ended.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that I think the last time I saw, I think it was like 700 and like something. But there's the ones that stick out the most into my head are like the Vines, but I don't really make those too much anymore. Like one of the ones that people love is the one about Potted Desires, where I say like, oh, Potted Desires, banish 10, draw 2, and it's 2 more copies of Potted Desires, and I'm like, fuck this game, and I just like rage. And that's
why I don't like that card. That happens to me every time I use it.
Yeah, exactly. And so now anytime it does happen to someone, everyone just references that meme, and it pretty much has become just notorious at this point. But this year specifically, I think that was last year, because I think that was when Potted Desires first came out, which was Dark Illusion, which I think was 2016. So
I think it was like mid 2016, I want to say,
so
May.
That was like a long time ago. Yeah. I don't know. You know what? We're going to keep talking, and I'm actually going to look through my past videos, because it's all a blur, because there's been so many of them that, like, none really, like, in particular really, like, just stand out like something like that. But at the same time, they're all so, like, there's so many things I like about each of them, it's hard to, like, nail one in particular, if that makes sense.
But, of course, when you release a lot of videos, there's always going to be one you're not very happy with. Is there a certain video that you wish you could have redone?
Yeah, there have been a few. The one I think I probably have like the most regret over is the one where I'm bashing Duel Links, specifically the Duel Links trailer when it first came out. It's funny because it's one of my most viewed videos, but at the same time, the reason I regret it is because like I was really negative towards it, but it wasn't really for the right reasons. It was kind of just like bashing it to bash it. And I wasn't really as critical as it wasn't productively critical, if that makes sense. It was more so just like, just random, relentless, just like, oh, this is fucking stupid, blah, 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 kind of thing. Just because I have an unrelenting hatred for the game. I still do. But I could have done it a lot more constructively, and I feel like it came off really bad. But, it's one of those things that, I might like reflect back on. And I took a learning experience from it that, it needs to be productive. It can't just be random aggressive hatred for no reason, at least for me.
Who is your Yu-Gi-Oh waifu?
Oh man, El Shadal Construct, 100%, man.
She's
Take her off the ban list. I need her back.
Yeah, I'm in my current one right now is still tour guide of the underworld. I
Oh,
wish he
is
was
it?
at 3.
It's not Paleozoic Morella.
No. If anything, I like
I thought
Bakaya the
you'd be into
most.
that. I thought you'd be into that shit.
No, 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 no. Just because I'm a freak doesn't mean I like to fuck a dead carcass. What was? Do you find it difficult to manage your normal life and social life with your Yu-Gi-Oh and YouTube lifestyle? Have you ever had the issue where it's like, ooh, I want to go out with my friends, or I have something to do today, but I want to make a video and I need to get it out? Have you ever struggled with that, and what do you do to try to avoid it?
Yeah, it can be pretty rough because, well, it's funny because I actually look at it the other way. So the YouTube stuff actually comes first, and it's more so like, oh, can I hang out with my friends because I have to make a video? It's not like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with my friends. Can I make a video? The video comes first because I know I need to get that out, and so I really try to like make that time, especially for my friends and stuff, because I mean, they're super supportive of me, but at the same time, I don't want to just completely blow them off, like they've been, my friends forever. But I usually kind of I upload like 5-6 days a week typically, so I'll have like that 1.5 days to myself where I'm kind of like, that's like where I can do other stuff that isn't YouTube related, even though I'm still like on my phone responding to comments and Twitter replies and things like that.
So you are a competitive player, and I know you've mentioned before that you have a shit ton of binders with a lot of deck cores and high rarity cards. So what has been your best deal you've ever gotten from a trade?
Best deal I've ever gotten from a trade. It's funny because even though this is a trading card game, I actually don't really trade too much. I'm more so just like, I would say buy and sell, I would say, compared to, like most people. Trading isn't really too much in my repertoire, but there've been times where I've gotten some really crazy things. Like I've gotten play sets of like really like awesome ultimate rares in the past, like, and they're not like really expensive or anything, but I just I really liked them, and the person who was giving them didn't really value them too highly, so they just took something that was about of equal value, but it was about as equally as worthless in terms of like competitive play and stuff. So but there have been other times I've gotten some really good deals on stuff as well. Like, for instance, I actually owned at one point a playset of Ultimate Rare First Edition German Cyber Dragons that I got off of eBay for an extremely low price right before, like, Cosmo came out. Because that was kind of like when everyone was like, oh, Cyber Dragon, Chimera Tech, Fortress Dragons, the next tech against Dark Destroyer and stuff like that. And so I managed to snipe those up. And it's funny because the video with when I went to Toronto with Philip, and when I was playing for him, Cyber Dragons are his favorite deck, I ended up giving those to him just as a gift. Because those Cyber Dragons had been collecting dust forever. And Cyber Dragons are obviously his favorite archetype for anyone who's watched the video. So I just decided, like, as a gift, I was just going to give them to him because I know that, as someone who loves Cyber Dragons, they were going to be much better in his hands than in mine. And, it was something I felt really good doing. And so to answer your question from before, that was probably my favorite video all year because I forgot that was this year, was going up to Toronto to play for Philip in the YCS. That was fun.
So, are you a singles only person, or do you still buy packs? Like for me, I still have the gambler's addict in me that needs the thrill of the hunt by buying the occasional pack at a local.
I'm pretty much exclusively a singles only person, because I advocate on the channel too, pretty much every time. Like, even if I'm talking about a set, and even if the set has amazing cards in it, I always tell people just to buy singles. The only time I break my own rule is if I do an unboxing on my channel, because I solely do the unboxing just for people who want to watch it. It's not for myself. It's just because I have a very large demographic of my fan base that likes watching unboxing videos. So that's more so for them than actually me. But if it's I need cards, I'm strictly off the, like, I need to, like, crack open packs like a madman type thing. I'll just go, whatever website, or go up to my friends and be like, hey, got this, and then I'll just get it that way.
On the topic of opening packs, how salty were you before making the Neg 600 case opening challenge? Because that's one of the more specific questions geared to you, but since we're on the topic of packs, I thought it'd be a good time to ask it now.
Yeah, it's funny because that was actually the first time I actually, like, invested into some crazy amount of product, because I thought to myself, I've never really done something like this before, so let's just see what happens. And For those who don't know, the Neg 600 challenge was when I got a case of Breakers of Shadow for $600, which is a really good price for a case.
That's a good price, because don't they usually go for like 800 to 900 usually?
It's usually like 720, 750. The reason I got it for 600 is because the owner of the shop owed me a favor, and so he just he knocked the price down to the case to 600 for me, which I was fine with. And so I just decided to be fun, like, hey, you know what, whatever. I'm never going to do this probably again in my life, so let's just have fun with it. And it's funny because I never finished that series because all the other files got corrupted. But,
that's unlucky, because I was going to ask, whatever became of all those Ogamas. Because we never got to see the bonfire. I was so mad. I was like, where's the bonfire?
I know. The Ogama bonfire was, it happened but never happened at the same time, which is sad. But ultimately, I think I ended up pulling 4 Solemn Strikes and I think 4 Sorcerers. And I think, obviously, those are like the chase cards. And then everything else, was kind of just like whatever. So, I mean, ultimately, I still think I negged, but
do you remember or vaguely have a number of how many monkey boards you ripped?
I ripped probably by the end of the series. If we're talking about the corrupted files too, I probably ripped like at least 50.
Holy shit!
Because towards the end with the corrupted files, every time I pulled one, it was just auto rip. It was just like it was. It's funny watching those.
It was like that in the last episode that you did end up releasing. You didn't even like mention it; you just rip on the next pack.
It was. I like that series because it was like a descent into madness. Like the more I was just like losing my mind slowly over the amount of Ogamas and monkey boards and things like that. So.
And every set was. Or what was it, like 2 or 3 boxes in a row of the videos you did release were Rafflesia and Cyber Dragon Infinity, and you were like, what the fuck? This is so mapped.
Yep, it was mapped to all hell. So
that was crazy. That did take sadly away about some of the surprise when I did buy I didn't buy a box of that. My friend did, and he got the what the hell was that? What were the other secrets? He got the not the Blacklist Soldier, the Buster Blader.
I got a lot of the Buster Blader. Rafflesia and Infinity, I got a good number of. Oh man, what else was a secret in that set? I'm trying to remember.
I cannot remember. All I know is Rafflesia, Cyber Dragon Infinity, and
then Sork and then Strike.
There should be one more.
Surprisingly, there should be a few more, but surprisingly, Buster Dragon was in that set, and I pulled like a shitload of those, and that's like a $4 to $5 card right now for some reason.
Yeah, so at one point it was like $11, and my friend had one. Of course, it was all ruined by his backpack gunk because it sat in the bottom of it, and where it's like in the hot summer days in his trunk, it just melted.
Yeah, so, like, when I realized that card was that much, like, my binder, like, my trade binder that I never use, had, like, 2 or 3 just pages of Buster Dragons.
Oh, my God.
And there was people that actually just wanted them for some reason, and so I'm just like, oh, yeah, sure. Like, I'm just, like, letting them go for, like, not even, like, 3s or 2s, because I didn't care, because I had so many of them. But, yeah, it's kind of funny. I've just been still sitting on some of that Bosch stuff, but, I mean, it just, like, the Buster Blader guy was also worth something for a time as well, which is just completely random, but it was fun. I'd probably never do it again, but it was fun.
It was definitely. I asked this. I forgot to ask this for the previous members or guests on the show. Do you have like a certain card that you just collect? Because in my friend circle, I have a friend that has about like 30 Gale the Black Whirlwind or whatever, Blackwing Whirlwind. He just collects, and then one of his friends that I met that he knew from college had about 200 Spores. All in different languages, and
that's
all
impressive.
And it was just like, but why though? And he's like, I don't know, I just love Spore.
No, there's not one card I collect in particular. I kind of want to do, I want to start like what Olinthio did and like do the Ultimate Rare Challenge. I think that would be fun because I really love Ultimate Rares, and if I were ever to collect something, that would be it because it's like nothing beats shiny Ultimate Rare cardboard in my opinion.
Yeah, I just got my playset of Swap Frog. I caved after months of like, I don't need it. I need it. I don't know. It's kind of a lot. But no, last week I cracked, and I have one sitting on my desk right now waiting for the other 2 to come in the mail to play in my deck.
That's good taste. You've got good taste.
But if you were to go to a local right now or to a YCS, what would be your go-to deck if you had all the access to the cards you needed?
Like, are we talking this specific format or like any
just in
deck
general,
ever?
Any deck ever.
Any deck ever? Oh man. Well, my favorite deck of all time is Perfect Circle Monarch. So I mean, we'd have to go back to 2007 for that.
Understandable. I'll crack up the time machine. Oh man, Monarchs.
It's Monarchs before Monarchs were good again.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the art of Monarchs, but I cannot for the life of me get into them. I keep trying. Every time Monarchs are good or get something new, I'm like, maybe this time Monarchs will do it for me. No, can't do it. I don't know what
you have to. Okay, so you have to think back. How long have you been playing this game? I'm gonna ask you a question.
I started playing when I was a kid. I was a scrub. I took a little break. I started playing again back in like 20. When did Teledad end?
Okay, Teledad ended around like 2008-ish, 8, 9-ish, like around there.
Okay, so I played I started back on in 2010, and then I played exclusively on Dueling Network because I had no way to buy packs. And one of my friends read Metagame, and he was the one guy who just played all the broken decks of each format against me. Well, I played I don't know. I played like a really shitty burn deck with through Kazi. I was like, Ukazi's the best card, dude. And I played 3 Magic Cylinder and all that shit.
You weren't playing Tremendous Fire? Come on, man.
Dude,
you gotta take that 500 to deal that 1,000.
It's 1,000 damage as long as they're above 3,000. It's broken.
But as long as they're above 3,000, that means you can't kill them.
But that's why you have the 3 Ukazi to finish them off.
But then you're still 600 short. Anyway.
That's why you have poison. That's why you got Poison of the Old Man.
Yeah, you got me there. But yeah, you have to think, okay, so back when Perfect Circle Monarch was such a strong deck, you have to think back in 2006, 2007 time, where a tribute summon monster like Mobius would pop 2 spell and traps your opponent would control.
That was nutty. Breaker was still broken then.
Exactly. So, like, the fact that you basically had Breaker on steroids for a tribute monster was, like, no, like, tribute summon Mobius was, like, the best play you could do sometimes. Like, the fact that I'm even saying that is, like, bringing back so much nostalgia. But then you've got Thestalos, which would rip cards out of your opponent's hand, so you could play, like, hand control. Zaborg was, like, okay. Gramarg, no one gives a fuck about. And then when Ryza came out in, I believe it was Strike of Neos, that was like every Monarch player's wet dream, because the fact that you could target any card, spin it back to the top of the deck, and you could play with cards like Phoenix Wing, Windblast to literally stack them for 2 cards for 2 whole turns was just like absolutely absurd. So pair that with the fact that like Destiny Hero Malicious and like D-Draw came out, and then you had an engine to literally give you tribute fodder. It was just like, oh my god, it was the dream.
Bring back Disc Commander.
Oh my god, this commander was nuts.
Dude, he was so good. I'm sad he doesn't have a higher rarity. He only has a rare, right?
I believe he came as a super rare as in the promo, which was in the video game, and that's what it was then. And then I think it got a rare or like another printing outside of that, but I don't remember. All I know is the super rare printing for sure.
So we were talking about your favorite deck. I want to talk about like what is your most hated deck of all time.
Oh,
what do you not? What is your mental block?
Probably Psyframes.
That's your personal tilter. You just like you look at Psyframes, you're like, oh, just end my life. Just fuck me up, fam.
Yeah, I mean it's just a matter of I really hate. It's funny because I really love Psyframe Gamma and I really love Omega and I really like their trap, but I just hate the way the deck plays. Like the fact that it's a deck that's completely reliant on your opponent doing stuff. I just hate the idea of that so much because it's just not. I can't understand like wanting to play a deck where you don't want to do anything on your own turn. That's just, but also other than like card D, like draw 2 pass, like that just like does not compute with me at all. So it's not that like I don't get like triggered by it. It's just I can't understand someone who thinks that deck is fun. That's like
I can't understand how people find Klee fun. I'm talking to you, Matt. I know you're watching. Fuck you. 3 skill drain, 3 recreate, 3 lose 1 turn. It's not fun, dude.
I didn't like Klee, but to be fair, I played Burning Abyss, and Fire Lake basically just said "fuck you, Klee," so I didn't really care.
Yeah, I recently I started doing live duel commentaries on my channel, and we were doing like full power duels. And I don't remember what we did one where he played full power Klee versus Heroes with Stratos unbanned, and just three of everything. Oh man, was that not fun?
Oh man, were you playing like Airblade or were you playing like?
No, I was basically playing like Mass Heroes with Stratos.
Oh, okay, Mass Heroes with Stratos. Okay.
With like Monster Reborn and when I occasionally top decked Harpy's Feather Duster, that was the saving grace.
I was gonna say that must have been a nice feeling. The interesting thing is, we've never had full power Burning Abyss here in the TCG. The OCG had it, which was nuts, and we'll never experience that, and that's arguably one of the strongest decks ever created.
Is there like a certain mechanic that you just cannot stand playing around to spin off from the least favorite deck? Like, I personally cannot stand fucking decks that play around the Banish Zone, Ritual Beasts, ABC. It's like, I when I see the Banish Zone, I want to think of, this is gone forever. I don't want to deal with it ever again. But I don't want it to add like a second graveyard or a third hand.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of had an interesting course, because I really don't like cards that say, like, this kind of falls in like Magispector's category or like Masterpiece. Like, cards that just have blanket immunity to so many effects, because it's not that there's an issue with it in itself. It's the fact that it just makes it so less interactive for the game that it just makes it, like, not fun. Like, no one likes staring up against, like, a Masterpiece that's immune to basically everything that's in your deck. Like, there's nothing really interactive and fun about it. It's like, if they summon it, it's like, well, guess I lose. You know, that's kind of what those games boil down to a lot of the time. That's why Kieran's on the ban list.
Matchup.
You know, I mean, there's just these things, and it's kind of unfortunate because power creep's taken its toll that way, and yeah, we've been given more tools to deal with that. I mean, look back when Towers Turbo, you mentioned Klee. Towers Turbo was a fucking nightmare. I mean, if they got Towers out, like, you were just, like, basically fucked.
You're just like, just end my life now. I might as well sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So I've never been, like, a fan of decks that have, like, protect the castle win condition, I guess, like that. But
a more of a like, just turn the game off kind of thing. Like, you don't like Vanity's Fiend Turbo, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and it's unfortunate because sometimes if you're playing a specific deck, like Monarchs for instance, like Vanity's Fiend actually is a viable strategy in Monarch, but that's kind of like the way the deck is. It just locks your opponent out that way. But even though, like, I like a deck like Monarchs, I don't like the fact that, you know, basically I'm going to shut off 60 to 70% of my opponent's deck just because I played this one card and they don't have an out. I feel like the more interaction there is, like, the more opportunity there is for, like, people to skillfully play around certain cards. But it's like, oh, I got Vanity's Fiend dropped on me. Guess I'm dead. Like, yay, interaction, you know?
Woohoo, I hope I top deck Raigeki if I'm main decking it going first.
Right, exactly. And even if you do, like, they have 3 Vanity's Fiends and you have 1 Raigeki. So, I mean, you better be hoping.
Yeah, you gotta left arm offering, and then you gotta use what the fuck is it called? Boogie Trap. You gotta use Boogie Trap.
And then you got a magic stone excavation to get the Raigeki out of your graveyard that you killed.
And put it back
use to kill the first Vanity's Fiend.
Yeah, and then you sit on, you're like, Vanity's Fiend again, bitch. I got a second Raigeki.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, kaijus have helped solve that problem a lot, but I mean, you're still, the issue is, like, going back to Klee, Towers is searchable, and the whole deck basically, I mean, aside from Master Rule 4 now, the whole deck was essentially made to just spam out Towers inherently, whereas with kaijus, you have to hard draw them, and you can't search them apart from Slumber, which isn't a viable way to do so. So, I mean, I guess you have Kyoto Waterfront, but again, that's like, we were talking about, like, real options here. Yeah. So when you're trying to, like,
playing World Chalice.
Yeah, so if you're hoping to hard draw a kaiju versus your opponent's deck that can inherently turbo out an unkillable boss monster, I mean, there's a reason that card is still on the ban list, in my opinion.
So we're going to go back to talk about your channel for a bit. So what has been your favorite thumbnail you've made?
Oh, my favorite thumbnail? Oh man, we made some really good thumbnails. I mean, a lot of my thumbnails typically, I mean, they just use, like, Yu-Gi-Oh artwork. That's kind of like a style I've, you know, embodied over the years, but my favorite thumbnails are the ones that typically have, like, me in them and I'm doing, like, some, like, stupid pose to kind of just be like just for, like, attention, essentially. Like, my favorite one, I think, has to be on the mystery power box where I supposedly pull the graded 10 SJC Cyberstein. So it's just like super clickbaity. It just says, like, OMG, there's an arrow pointing to the Cyberstein, and my mouth is just, like, wide open, like, oh my god, I actually pulled it. Like, that's probably my favorite.
You may or may not have fooled me to think that happened.
You wouldn't be the only one, so it's okay.
Until I read your comment, I was like, holy shit, he did it. Of course it'd be Cimo of all people.
You wouldn't realize the amount of messages I received when I uploaded that, and even after, of people who actually thought that I really pulled it. And I kind of felt bad, so that's why I left the comment like, oh, thanks to my friend for letting me do this fun skit, you know? Because I didn't want to, like, completely baffle people. But some people still think I pulled it, so.
Yeah, I always said if it was anybody, it's the main character of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, and that's Cimo. But how much do you think you've spent on the game in total? Do you have like a rough estimate, or do you want to just ignore it and be like, I don't want to think about that?
Oh, man. I've probably spent way more. Actually, no, that's probably not true. I was going to say, when I was younger, I mean, I was probably like, that's when I was in my pack cracking phase, where I was just
junkies.
where I was just getting packs, and like, I was little, so I wasn't really like taking the game seriously. I was just liking it for the cards. I didn't really know better. And so my mom wants to probably like burn everything in my room because, she knows how much she spent on the game for me. But, it's realistically, when I got back into the game, I was much more like, I wanted to make sure I wasn't like just going all out and just like spending every last dime on the game. I wanted to be very conservative about it, only getting like what I really needed, which is why I don't really have a lot of cards like outside of my collection. But I mean, obviously I probably spent like, a few thousand at the least. But, I mean, relative to, like, how much you can easily spend on this game in terms of, like, boxes and, just everything in general, that's probably, like, pretty on average of what, like, most people would spend.
Do you have a worst purchase or a really regrettable purchase? Like, did you ever buy, like, a prize card or some, like, spicy tech and then completely just flopped and went droopy snoopy?
Oh, yeah. I've never purchased a prize card because I never... As much as I like nice cards, I've never, like, saw the point. Like, I could see the point to buy a Minerva if you were playing Lightsworn, but that was before it got reprinted, obviously. So I've never owned a prize card or anything like that. To answer your question, though, yeah, I've had a lot of bad investments on like tech cards that I thought were gonna be like next level, like, oh man, I'm just gonna wreck everyone with this, or like cards that I thought like might come off the ban list for like no fucking reason. Like, let me think. I think I bought like 6 copies of like Royal Oppression because they were like so cheap, and they were like dual terminal too. And I'm like, you know what? If there's a chance that this comes off the ban list, like, this card's gonna shoot up way high. And on top of it, I think a friend of mine said that it might come off the ban list. Like, he had like a source. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. If he's wrong, I'm out like $20. If not, I'm gonna make money. So, but those have been collecting dust for the last like God knows how long. Another bad impulse buy I had was anti-magic arrows for evenly matched, because I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. And then I realized as soon as I bought them that was the worst idea ever. So that's one of the more relevant ones, I would say.
What is a deck that you predicted that would be super good that flopped super hard? We're going to exclude Maga Bullets because they are really recent as of recording right now. Mm-hmm. What was another deck? Like, one of my friends thought Nordic Beast was going to be good for some ungodly reason.
So a deck that I thought was going to be good but flopped. That's a tough one, because there have been... Yeah, because I remember, like, everyone thought, like, Magibullets was going to be, like Zoo 2.0, which I didn't understand at all. But, I mean, that's how people are. I'm really trying to think. I'm trying to go back to like DUEA format, because that's kind of like the most, that's like resonating most. Actually, no, I got a better one. I thought Fire Kings were actually like a good call during like Geargia format, and that was like a really terrible decision.
Did you ever go to a tournament with them?
I did.
I'm gonna bop everybody. Oh no.
I did. The theory is that Garunix basically nukes everything in Geargia, and that they don't have anything to really stop it. At the same time, though, hieratic rulers existed, and I kind of gravely miscalculated that, and that just kind of got like completely just like destroyed by. So, I mean, I remember like I was, especially back in my older days, I'm like, yeah, Fire Kings are like legit, man, and I like that deck a lot, but I mean, it's obviously nowhere near like amazing. But when Fire King Island came out, I was hyped as fuck.
The good old classic Yaksha set pass and set Fire King Island.
Dude, you remember when Supply Squad came out? Oh, that's like Fire King
back when
player's wet dream.
Supply Squad was like the best card. When card D was considered the most amazing plus in the game. You know,
when card D was like an $80 card.
That was nutty.
I know. It's so crazy, like, how cards just, like, fluctuate like that. It's insane. Like, you have to think card D was worth as much back then as Ash Blossom is now. That's insane.
I cannot picture that. Like, don't want to think that I'm glad I have not spent that money. I don't want to look back and be like, yeah, I spent 80 on card Ds, but like now they're reprinted in every box, every structure deck and starter deck ever, and no one ever uses them, and it's kind of a meme.
Yeah, that's another thing too. When you're asking like how much I've spent on this game, I'm actually like, because I do this, for a living, I'm actually very watchful about like when stuff might get reprinted and stuff. So if like, for instance, like if Ash Blossom like would get reprinted, I do a very good job of like, oh, I'm not going to play in a tournament for like 3 months. I'm just going to sell them. And then if it gets reprinted, I'll just buy them again. So that way I make up like any money I might have, like, even though obviously there's going to be a little bit of a loss, it's better than being out, everything.
Are you a kind of person who plays a deck because you perceive it is the best deck, or do you actually have to enjoy playing it to play it?
I actually
Sorry to
do
throw
enjoy
you under the bus if you are, quote unquote, by the fans, a meta sheep.
It's okay. People label me that sometimes, but I have to enjoy a deck to play it. So like, for instance, like back in Necros format, I was playing Burning Abyss because even though Necros was the best deck and definitively the best deck, I enjoyed Burning Abyss more just because I love Burning Abyss in general. And even though I knew I wasn't playing the best deck, it was actually kind of a challenge to kind of see like, okay, I'm playing the worst deck, but, my deck can still beat your deck. So it was kind of like fun having that aspect to every single like match against a Necros player. So it really just depends. Like there's some decks like I really don't like Trickstar, for instance. I don't like Trickstar, even though, I just uploaded 4 fucking videos about it. But yeah, so like Trickstar is, I think it's a cool deck, but I don't like playing it, if that makes sense. Like I like some of the things that it does, but I don't personally enjoy, triple reincarnationing people. Like I don't feel good about that, so I just don't like playing it.
To talk about Trickstars, I went to a local last week, so this is a lesson for all of you listeners out there to make sure to read every single card your opponent plays. So Lilybell, the one that special summons if you add it to your hand. Mm-hmm. I did not read the card. I was like, it does that. Okay. It's once per turn. Can you guess what he did?
He special summoned it multiple times.
He OTK'd me with it by looping.
Did he do with Licorice?
Yep, he looped it. He's like, okay, I'm going to bounce it back with this Licorice, special, attack. Bounce it back with this Licorice, special again, attack. And then, he kind of killed me with it. And I was like,
yeah.
That's why you read the cards, kids.
That is. But I do want to qualify one thing with what I said, though, because there is a point where... So, okay, for instance, like, say you hate playing the top 3 or 4 decks. There's a point where you have to play... If you're wanting to play competitively, unless you come up with a strategy that is actually very sound as a rogue pick, you have to, at a point, accept one of those decks competitively to play it, because even if you hate all of them, those are statistically your best chance to do well. And so it's better to play a deck you might not necessarily like, but has a good track record, compared to something you do like and is absolutely awful. Because from a competitive experience standpoint, if you're just going to get like just completely stomped, then it was just a bad idea to begin with. So it's a very fine line, I guess, when it comes down to that.
Don't worry, man. You can never be called the meta sheep, because I remember when you were at, was it YCS San Diego, and you pulled out the Roach during middle of Zoo format. Dude, I was hypey.
It was YCS Seattle, yeah. My Infernoid deck.
Dude, I was hyped. I was like, oh man, he's got the Roach! and then it got board wiped. Feels bad.
Yeah, it's okay. Billy Brake still said it was the right play, so I still feel good about it. Even though I played that game terribly. We won't talk about that.
So you're a competitive player, so I get to ask you this question. Do you have any certain game testing rituals or certain things you do when play testing a new deck? Like for ratios, do you have a plays test strategy to test if something is consistent or not, or worth running?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to do is, especially once you figured out what the meta is, assuming it's defined well enough that you can do this, one of the best things you can do when you're testing is set up what is most likely going to be your opponent's first turn board. Like, so for instance, right now, like Pendulum Magician is most likely going to end on Baguska and then maybe like a Time Pendulum Wrap. And like Spiral, like... It's kind of hard to say, like, maybe you want to assume that you hit them at some point, so they're going to have a more lackluster board. But Trickstar might end on, Licorice plus Reincarnation. The best thing you can do is pretty much always, if you're going second, like testing for going second, look at your hand and always assume that that's the board you're trying to test against, and that's what you're trying to beat, because more than likely that's what you need to overcome, and figure out at what point your opponent's going to use like the time pendulum graph, the reincarnation, and figure out what the best course of action would be to play around it, because then when you're in the actual tournament playing, you're not having to think about how to do it. It almost becomes muscle memory because you've conditioned yourself that way. And I feel like that's what, ultimately just helps you get better, is by taking things like that and making it just really easy and really easy to come by.
To talk about more about the decks, is there a certain mechanic from an archetype that you wish another archetype would have? So like my example is, I wish more archetypes had something similar to when you have Sage with Eyes of Blue in your hand, how you could send it to the graveyard and one monster in the field to special Blue Eyes from the deck. I wish more decks had something like that, because I find that pretty cool.
So you basically want like a lone fire from hand, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I want a lone fire from hand, but like for in archetypes, but I want it balanced. Fuck it. Actually, fuck it. I want it super broken.
I want it super broken.
I want to be able to turbo out whatever I want. That's really dumb.
I kind of like... I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I actually really like what Double Helix just does if you took it and put it in like any lone archetype. The fact that you can just either special any archetype-based monster from your deck or add it to your hand. Obviously, like, it'd have to be conditional based off the archetype's effect. But I think just from a consistency standpoint, there's so many decks that would just thrive from having an effect like that it would just make them so much better. Because I feel like so many decks either just don't have something that's even half decent, or they're just like inherently nuts and already have all these amazing effects anyway. But there's really not like a middle ground there. So just something almost kind of like what you were saying, like if it's like a lone fire effect or something that just allows the deck to tutor for more of its cards a lot easier. I think that would just be so highly beneficial for so many different archetypes to really kind of close the gap in terms of how wide all these decks are apart from one another.
What is your favorite draw power? Is it Pot of Desires, Card of Demise, Allure of Darkness, Spellbook Engine? Do you have a certain one that you just always want to gravitate towards if you could fit it in any deck?
Ooh, I like that question, because I like draw cards a lot. I just did a video on that, so that's funny. I don't know, because each draw card has its inherent strengths and weaknesses. I really like Pot of Desires because a lot of decks don't care about the banish, but it's funny because the ones that usually do are almost usually like the best deck anyway. So, because like look back when Zodiac was the best deck when Rat was at 3. People weren't playing Desires, but then when Rat became irrelevant, people like did start playing Desires because it didn't matter. And the same thing goes for like Spiral. A few people play Desires in Spiral, but I would say streamlined decks don't play it at all. But the other decks like Pen Magician, Trickstar, all these other decks do play Desires, and it kind of, again, just helps close that gap and brings them a little bit closer together, because giving that deck that extra card really helps. Demise is really cool, but I don't like how Demise has so many drawbacks, and you can only use it in a very specific deck. And
you can only use it on a quote-unquote helmet deck?
It's basically, yeah. I mean, you look at what decks use Demise, realistically. Draco, Cosmo, Barrier Stun,
Chain Burn,
Chain Burn, like anything that's very, like, protect the castle style-ish deck, or like, I'm gonna stun you. That's kind of what very much so benefits from Demise. So I like that it has, like, the ability to +2, but it can only be used in a very specific deck, whereas Pot of Desires can theoretically be used in any deck, but at the same time also has like its drawback of, you're losing a lot of resources in order to potentially use it.
I should have asked this earlier, honestly, when I said what was a deck that you expected to do good but flop? What was a deck that you expected to flop but became super good?
Ooh, expected to flop. I think that... Man, that's actually really tough. Because I knew Zoo was going to be nuts. Like, 100% knew that was going to be the case.
One card XZ, weehaw.
Yeah.
A little nutty, if you ask me.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's slightly good. I don't know, maybe tier 2.
Maybe. Like, if we're lucky.
Yeah, if we're lucky. If everything gets hit on the ban list, if we ever get one.
I honestly... Man, that's really hard. Actually, you know what? I didn't think Paleo was going to be as good as it was, in all honesty.
Did you think it was just going to be too slow, or did you think the effects weren't good enough?
I thought the effects were good. I think because inherently the deck was just all traps, I think I just didn't really see the potential, because especially like this is when like ABC and Metal Foes were at their prime, and Dragon Buster is just like a god, and Metal Foes were doing their thing before Master Rule 4 just completely crippled them.
I miss Metal Foes so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I really underestimated how good Paleo was at that time, because again, you think to yourself, especially as a competitive player, a trap card already is like bad. And then you have a whole deck of trap cards, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like
I have 5 back row. I hope I have enough negates, and if not, I lose. That's pretty much how you play the deck.
Yeah, it's like you're always playing a turn behind with a trap deck like that, and that's kind of the issue with it. But when you kind of look how they're able to accrue advantage off of one another to kind of mitigate the fact that you're playing a turn behind, it kind of helps boost it forward so that you can kind of snowball and take control of the duel back. And so I think when Paleo first came out, and I'm not sure if that's when Toad was announced or not by then, but I think
they came out around, right? Was it the set after Bosch, or was it before Bosch? I remember they had hallucinogenia. For those who don't know, I believe that's the one that cuts the attack in half. So they had like the really shitty ones. The one that looked like a penis. The one that looked like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
The one that just got an OTS reprint. That one I'm so salty about. Fuck. Why was it not Dynamiscus?
Yeah, or Morella. I mean, or
Pakaya. Any of them.
Literally any of them besides that. Yeah. But I know Toad came out in Invasion Vengeance, because that's when D-Barrier came out. And so I think before Toad, I already thought the deck was like, I
don't know how the deck functioned before that. Like, what did they do? They just I have your attack. I hope you don't kill me.
And then Toad came out and then was just like, oh, okay, so now we make this. That's a pretty good card.
Yeah, we got our Bujin Yamato.
I don't know. That's like better than Yamato.
we got our Ultimate Provenance. That requires nothing. I have a ritual on this show from someone on Reddit who asked me to ask this to everybody who comes on the show, and that is, why does his scrub friend think Grand Mole is still broken in 2017?
Well, Grand Mole, first of all, is actually one of my favorite cards, for anyone who didn't know that. I still need to get an ultimate rare one, but anyway.
Yeah, buy your ultimate rare, kids, so they think you're good. They don't think you're bad, because skins get wins.
Exactly. I mean, it was actually good back in hat format, funny enough. Like, being able to just control the game with Grand Mole was actually, like, a viable thing. But, like, Grand Mole, I don't know. Like, maybe they're afraid of, like, if they put it to 3, you can, like, pendulum summon 3 out and just, like, wreck your opponent with Grand Moles. I don't fucking know. Like... I've been advocating for that card to go to 3 forever.
While talking about the ban list, what is your unreasonable ban demand? What is something that you absolutely hate that you just be like, fucking ban this card? I don't care how undumb it is. I hate it.
Yeah, you know what? Max C. Because they're probably never going to ban it, but like, and everyone hates me for saying it, but I fucking hate Max C.
No, I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but like, I'm trying to think of something that I just cannot stand that I think should just be banned. Even if it's really shit, I just don't want to deal with it. For the longest time...
So it's just something like extreme is what we're talking about.
Yeah, for the longest time, I wanted ARCHFIEND ECCENTRICK banned. Like, I was just like, this card is fucking stupid. Fuck this card.
Oh, man. I don't know. Trickstar Reincarnation is pretty dumb. Like, I don't know if they'll ever ban it, but I really just hate that card.
I mean, I'm main decking Epsilon right now. I don't want to deal with it.
Oh my god. There's not many cards. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying my local is literally all Trickstar.
Oh, really? Okay, well that's a good call then. There's really not a card that like other than like Reincarnation or like Max C that like I really hate that much, because I mean there've been times where there's been cards that are that stupid, especially like way back in the day when there was just like broken shit like Yatagarasu and stuff like that. But that's completely different.
That was Caveman Yu-Gi-Oh. We don't talk about that.
And like Dark Arm Dragon, like again we don't talk about that either. But
he's still at 1.
He works with the Element Sabers. Look out, guys.
Watch out. You're going to play Shadow Mist, and you're going to play, he's going to play the Malicious and Dark Grepher, and it's going to be Teledad in 2017, guys. Links are out. It's going to be good.
Yeah, there's really no other card, though. Like, even how I said I hate, like, decks like Masterpiece or Towers, things like that, I I wouldn't really want to just outright ban Masterpiece because I think it's all right. Like, it's unfair at times, but at the same time, I don't think it's to the point where it's like that big of an issue, if that makes sense.
Where it's like completely unbeatable, unbreakable.
Right. Like, now, if we had no kaijus and the game wasn't where it's at right now, like, if you put Draco in, like, 2014 or 15...
Oh my god, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, okay, that's a little bit different, but, I mean...
To think how fast the game has accelerated since then, just looking back 2 years ago, that's actually nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to think how, like, Monarchs were the best deck a couple of years ago, and Draco is the better tribute summon engine now. Like, that's insane.
What was your scrub ruling? I want to start asking people this. What was your MST negates in your friend group as a kid, or even now, or no, not now because you're a pro or a competitive player.
Oh
so
man,
this
actually just happened. This happened recently, actually. For some reason, and I don't know why, I tried to Ghost Ogre some guy's Brilliant Fusion. And I, like, for the life of me, I don't know why. Like, I feel like there was someone who said, like, oh, you're able to ogre this. Or, like, when Brilliant Fusion first came out, like, someone said you were able to ogre it. Even though it went against all my intuition that you couldn't, because, you know, just by reading the card, you can't fucking do that. But for some reason, I tried to do it, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? And another one was I actually tried to... stop a Pen Magician player's Duelist Alliance by popping the scale, which doesn't matter at all. But, you know, shoutouts to Asala, world champion, for telling me you can do that. So, you know, I took his advice and, you know, got punished for it, so.
A world champion, guys. If he can tell you bad advice, that means you can go out today and buy Trickstars and win worlds.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, Asala and I are friends, but I mean, it was just so funny because he's like, oh yeah, you can do that. And I'm like, what? And then I tried doing it, and the guy's like, no. And I'm like, fuck you, Asala.
That must have been a very awkward turn of events. Like I remember when I first got a Ghost Ogre, right when Zoo started, because I took a second break after Dueling Network died, and I just like lost interest because I stopped playing with my friends online every day. So I got back in physically about last year, but I kept peeked over. I'm like, oh, what's going on over here? I peeked over the fence, so I got a Ghost Ogre. And Zoo just started, and I tried to Ghost Ogre a guy's Tanky, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? Because
that's about as bad as me doing it with Brilliant Fusion. Yeah, it's like the same thing.
Because I was like, it's activated. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Exactly, yeah. It's like you think because like you're activating it like it works, you know? I don't know.
I've had more embarrassing misplays like that. I know my friends are roasting me if they're listening, laughing when this comes out, but we'll save those for another day.
It's okay, yeah.
Everyone's had that grass looks greener against the Nat Beast because you forgot what Nat Beast did.
Yeah, we've all had those moments, but it's kind of funny though because we can kind of enjoy those moments together and just, you know, because we all have an appreciation for the game. It's like, you know, we relish in the fact that we're all bad in that way sometimes.
So you're a man who's gone to many tournaments and recorded a lot of deck profiles. What has been your favorite profile, the most innovative or weird one you've seen?
100% the deck profile with Yugimation with his undefeated Swiss at YCS Anaheim, where it was a completely bad, terrible deck that we just wanted to make a deck profile for of like random cards that he happened to bring to the venue. And it was completely staged, but a lot of people thought like he actually like did somewhat well with it, which was hysterical.
10-0 Volcanics, guys. Woohoo!
Yeah. But it was just fun because he just had a bunch of like good jokes written for the deck profile, and I literally was recording it and I was laughing so hard I had to put my head on the table because I couldn't stop laughing, and I was literally about to just like not be able to focus the camera well enough for the video to look good because me, myself, and everyone else behind me was just trying to hold themselves from just losing it because of all the things he was saying. So if anyone finds that deck profile, go watch it. It's pretty funny.
What is your favorite scrub deck? What is the go-to? I want to be bad. I want to turn my brain off. Like, I want to play Gishkis. I want to play fucking Skull Servants. I just want to be a goober and troll.
You know what? It's got to be Ultra Athletes, funny enough.
Come on, who doesn't love Ultra Athlete perfect ass?
Like, funny enough, I actually, in one of my last streams, I played Ultra Athletes, and we somehow went 9-0 against people. We weren't in ranked or anything, but, like, some of the opponents were actually playing meta decks, and, like, Perfect Ass and, what's his face? The other guy, the guy who just has the Armades effect. They just got in there and were just wrecking people. And it was a deck that I actually thought was so cool, because I like the idea of, like, tagging out, and they got all these really interesting effects. And it's like one of those decks that everyone says, man, if this deck just had one more card, it's going to be amazing. And I was the one always saying that, and it never did, unfortunately. But, you know, for fun, I'll always want to just play that deck. It's got cool mechanics going for it. And Foolish Burial Goods made that deck actually pretty decent.
To bring back an older segment that you used to do on your channel, what was your favorite Tech Tuesday you made?
Oh, man. That's the OG fans right there, Tech Tuesday. My favorite one...
Seven Tools, still the best.
I think it's Gamma Seal, because that's where the whole hashtag tribute the fuck over it came from. Because I literally just am naming cards you can tribute over with Gamma Seal, and I'm just like saying I'm like, oh, this card, tribute the fuck over it. This card, tribute the fuck over it. And I just kept saying that, and then I said Vanity's Fiend, which you actually can't do. Oh, but that was pretty funny.
Worry, no one knew. No one knew.
No one noticed. Yeah. I think I was just on a roll of saying cards, because like I don't really script my stuff. I kind of like think just like a little bit ahead of time, or at least
that's what I do with all my videos. I do not plan at all.
Yeah, back then I used to just kind of just like let it go, but today I'm a little bit more structured, just so I have like a little bit more cohesiveness. But back then I would just be like, oh, let's talk about this, and I would kind of just go with it. And so I was just on a roll of naming cards, and then I said Majesty's Fiend, which you can hit with Gamma Seal, and I'm like, oh, Vanity's Fiend, without even fucking thinking about it. So, and it was just...
Did you get a lot of hate for that?
Yeah, people were like, they're like, are you drunk? Like, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah. And
I was in the moment.
That's kind of where, like, Drunk Cimo originated from, where I'll, like, go in the comments and, like, correct myself. I'll just be like, hashtag Drunk Cimo says you can do this when you actually can't.
So you do monthly Q&As. What has been the weirdest question you've gotten? I know people have asked you, do you pay for your porn? And, of course, no one does, kids. What are you, stupid?
I know. Who pays for porn? That's, like, ridiculous.
What the fuck?
Even though it's $1 billion industry somehow. I guess that's, like, for people without internet. I don't know. But, yeah, I haven't done the monthly Q&A in a while, because actually I'm planning on doing something different, but I've had a lot of really funny questions. Like, people are asking me, like my favorite sexual positions, or like, do you like being cucked, or like all these crazy like things. It just makes me laugh. Those are like the one you said, that's like up there too, like paying for porn. Or it's just pretty much like any like sexual related question are like always the really funny ones. The cartwheel one was good too, because I actually did a cartwheel and completely failed at it. So no, that's a GIF somewhere on the internet that people use.
If I could find it, I'll overlay it in the video.
Yeah, I can probably find it and send it to you if I have it too. I think it's on my Twitter actually.
What has been your favorite how good is in your series? To talk about more of your ongoing video styles that you've made.
Yeah, that's actually, I really like doing that whole series, just because it's like, it's funny because people they're like, man, I could never talk about a card that long, but I could talk about Yu-Gi-Oh all day. So for me, talking about any card for like 10 minutes, at least, like, sometimes it goes to like 15, like, to me, it's just natural. How good is, you know what? I actually think, I'll say the Hungry Burger one, because I ate the Hungry Burger. That was kind of funny.
I'm surprised you just shoved it down your gullet like that. Like, for those people who are well-versed in the League of Legends community, a man made a bet on a team, said if they lose this game against the number 1 team, lost to the 10th place team, he would eat a sock. And, Of course, they lost. So he, instead of just, shoving a sock down his throat, he cut it up and cooked it with food. I was expecting you to, like, make a Hungry Burger actual hamburger and just have the paper inside a meat patty.
No, it was actually just the card on a plate of lettuce. And originally it wasn't even going to have the plate of lettuce, but I thought that looked more aesthetically pleasing being on the plate of lettuce, so I figured I might as well go all out. Originally, I was actually going to have someone dressed up in a butler costume and bring it to me on a silver platter, but I didn't have anyone to do that. So
that would have been hilarious.
Scrapped.
I wish you did
I know. I was trying to, trust me. I think my actual favorite one, though, is about Shuffle Reborn, because that was a card that was like really innovative during Zoo format, And I think there were so many like cool applications to talk about why Shuffle Reborn was good. And it was so cool because like so many people actually come up to me and they'll say like, oh, I love this video. I love this video. And for some reason, a lot of people mention that video specifically, not even just the series, but that video. They're like, you did this video on Shuffle Reborn. And I'm like, and I couldn't believe like how good the card was. And you like said all these different cool things about it. And I'm like, yeah. And so I really liked just how that video came out overall, and that just kind of helped mold the series just to make it a little bit better. Even though I'd been doing it previously, there's something about that one specifically that I just really liked.
While we're still on the topic of your channel, do you ever regret getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! As your main channel stake? Do you ever wish you could have established yourself in another genre? Because I know you did make that one Call of Duty 4 video. I was about to say Black
yeah, I
Ops,
was going to
but
mention that. Not really. It's kind of funny because my best friend and I always talked when we were younger about how we always wanted to like make YouTube channels or make Twitch channels and like stream and do stuff like that. And we never really did it. And this is before I even started YouTube. And I always thought like if I were going to start YouTube that it was always going to be about like video games because I was really big into like Halo 3, Call of Duty 4, all these other like really competitive games, and it was a lot of fun. And I thought that if I ever did take that route, that's kind of how it would shape. Like I actually had a capture card at one point, and I was thinking like that's like I was actually going to do that. But funny enough, there was something about it that like it didn't feel right in my gut, and so I just really never did it. And it's funny because then when I picked Yu-Gi-Oh back up, and when the whole thing like with Robbie happened, where I had that that stroke of inspiration, where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. Ever since that day, I've absolutely 100% loved what I'm doing. Like, there's never been a day I've woken up and I'm just like, man, this, like, sucks. I have to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. Like, I could talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! All fucking day. And
well, I can complain about it all day. Don't get me started.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can complain about it, too, but there's so many, there's so many good, positive things that have come out of it for me in my life as a whole. As much as, there's been negative aspects as well, but as with anything. But I've never really, like, thought to myself, like, man, this sucks. Like, I wish it was something else. No.
So you've hosted the YugiTuber Grand Championship. How many years has it been? 2? 3?
3. It's been 3.
What has been, on memory, your favorite match to have spectated? What was the weirdest thing someone pulled out or top-decked?
Oh, man. Man, I love that tournament because there's just so much room for memeing.
I love so all the thumbnails. The thumbnails are the best, one of the best parts.
Yeah, because people just always send in pictures of them doing like crazy shit. So like,
I know Doug is holding a banana as a phone.
Yeah.
I was just like, what was Doug thinking?
Yeah, like people are like getting drunk, or like people are like the photos that people send in are great. Like Yugimation has like the suit on with the chicken mask. Like
that was a good one.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Team Samurai X1 is a chef in one of them.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many good photos, but favorite match, honestly, it's probably got to be one of the Yugimation ones where he's calling off cards with Hazy Flame Sphinx, and he went like 4 for 4 calling off cards with that card's effect, and literally won games because of that card and made it like as far as he did. He was like in the top 4 of like the very first one or something. And it was all because of the luck of Hazy Flame Sphinx, which is like, I can't believe I'm talking about that card. But yeah, it's just that card's like burned into my memory for how much it's absolutely just slaughtered people over the years.
You're a man who has done a lot of collabs with a lot of channels. What has been your favorite one so far? I'm always going to say for you is my favorite was the Doug face reveal, the DZ face reveal. Where you're like, hi guys, I'm DZ, Brilliant Fusion. Thank you for stopping by.
That actually took me like 20 takes to record because he sent me the audio and I had to line my like mouth up with what he was saying. And so it was so difficult because he stumbled a lot in what he was saying and he had a lot of ums and stuff and it was like very off pace. So he would like stop and then like start up again 2 seconds later and it was really awkward. But yeah, so that fun fact there. That took
throwing Doug under the bus.
No, he even said, he's like, I'm sorry I made it that difficult for you. Man, yeah, there have been a lot of collabs. I don't really think there's been a single one that like has really stood out to me more than the rest because I really just like what I'm doing with you now, I really just kind of love getting involved in just like talking with other people in the community or just doing fun stuff every once in a while. it's just kind of good to like get away from, especially for me since I'm such like a heavy competitive channel most of the time. It's kind of fun to just do something a little bit like outside of what I typically do, just for a little bit of fun. So like when Doug asked me to do like that face reveal thing for him because he never shows his face, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll get on that. Or like when John will have me on for a video, or any of the other people I've collaborated with in the past. I mean, the YugiTuber Grand Championship is literally the ultimate YugiTuber collaboration project. So in a way, like, I've gotten to talk with so many different other people in the community just from us doing commentary that it's honestly part of the reason why I've made so many different friends with the other tubers, because they'll just like be like, hey, you want to get on commentary? Like, sure. And then we'll just Skype for like 3 hours after we do the commentary, just talking about anything and everything. So, I mean, really nothing to complain about.
Yeah, that was the idea that I had with this, is I really wanted to like get a way to let the community get a better connection with the people they watch, because it's cool. Because some channels don't do Q&As. I know a lot of channels do, like you do, and Doug occasionally does when he streams, if he does when he's drunk and he's not too drunk to actually read chat. Throwing you under the bus again. But I just wanted a way to like not quote unquote give back to the community, but in a way to just get us further connected, because I think people are so like against communicating in a way, if you get what I'm saying, that I just wanted to like help. I don't want to sound pretentious with this, like breaking the barrier, quote unquote, and just like make a better connection and stuff, and just bring everybody into one big happy family, as dumb as that sounds.
No, I know what you mean, because I think especially with people when they have their favorite content creators, I think they get very tribal when it comes to their favorite, especially if their favorite person gets attacked, or if like someone's like starting shit with another person. I think that's something that does happen, and like people kind of get very divisive on those issues, when at the same time it's like, why are we like doing this? It's like we're already such a niche small community as it is, and it's like we don't have to like every single person, but at the same time it's like we're basically the faces of the YouTube Yu-Gi-Oh community especially, and like, let's just, enjoy one another's company. Let's just make some good content. Let's just, like, have fun. I mean, it's a card game. It's meant to be for fun anyway, so.
Exactly. What I wanted to do is I wanted to make this show be Switzerland. I wanted it to be neutral and for fun.
Switzerland.
We are truly neutral. Metaphor. We are true neutral here. We are the colon and comma smiley face. No Dorito, no Winkies, no colon P, no XDs. We are true neutral.
Your true neutral smiley face emoji.
Yeah, smiley face emoji, laughing emoji. No laughing emojis. Don't you fucking dare send laughing emojis. That's how we'll know people actually sit through.
It better be Cimooojis if you're using emojis.
Yeah, you can get some lovely Cimooojis if you become a subscriber on, or not a, is it called subscribers? I don't know what the fuck they call it on Twitch.
Oh, on Twitch, yeah, it's subscribers on Twitch.
Okay, it is subscribers. So now I want you to shout out your channels.
Yeah, so for anyone who's listening, first of all, if you're one of my fans who's listening, thank you for taking the time to do that, because I know you guys like really listening to anything that I put out. I know one day I put like 3 videos out at once, and you guys I could watch 10 of your videos in a day, and that really means a lot. So, but for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Cimo with 8 consecutive O's, but you can search any of them on YouTube, and I'll still come up. And yeah, just feel free to check out my channel. It's very competitive based, but at the same time, I really like helping people of any skill level to really just help everyone get better at the game collectively, because I feel like that's something that we can all share and really just help everyone get better as a whole, so that we can all enjoy playing the game or help play the game that we love a lot better and have a better time doing it. So check me out, and if you enjoy the content, just be sure to subscribe.
He also has a Patreon, because I know some people are against announcing their Patreons on this show, but feel more than welcome. It is patreon.com/Cimo. Is it with 8 O's as well still?
Everything's with 8 O's.
Okay, everything is with the indeed 8 O's. I did have to count. I made sure to count when I sent you the YouTube message, because I was like, I want to make this sound like kind of professional, but I don't want to come off like try hard, or like some dumbass was like, hey, Cimo, you want to come on my show? I'm a big fan.
Do you know the story behind the 8 O's?
No, I do not.
Okay, so that's actually good for any of your fans who want to know. So the reason why it's 8 O's, it's actually a very practical reason, is the fact that when I was initially creating the channel, the first number of O's I was able to put across all social media platforms was 8. So I could not do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. It had to be 8 if I wanted it to be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everything I was using at the time. It had to be 8 O's. So I'm like, well, I guess it's 8 O's.
I know whenever I Google Cimo just with 1 O, it's a Cimo technology company. So I'm like, that's wrong.
Yeah, for some reason, if you go on Twitter, I don't know if it's still there, but like on Twitter, like 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 O's, or at least most of those, are all like Middle Eastern like Twitter accounts, which is just kind of weird. So I don't know if that's like there's any meaning.
Indeed, I just looked it up. It seems some of these are Russian.
Yeah,
some of these are some of these are mentioning you. Let's see.
Yeah, it's just completely random. And Twitter was the reason why it had to be 8 O's, because I think Facebook and YouTube were fine, but it was like Twitter was the one that like had to go out to 8. And so I'm just like, oh, well, it's 8 O's. I guess we're going with it.
So now, while on topic of the community, I want you to give out your community shout out to a channel that you think is the most underrated. Who do you think is underappreciated but puts in a lot of effort? For example, I say on every episode, MST.TV is my most underrated. I think the amount of effort that Tombox puts into his graphics, his art, his presentation, but for the numbers he gets, I find extremely depressing because I think he deserves a lot more than he gets.
100% agree with you. MST TV is probably one of the most underrated channels in our community, and it's a shame, but I mean, he's getting up there. I think it's just he doesn't post enough, honestly.
But he has like a full-time job, I know. So
he does. Yeah, he does. He's got plenty of other life stuff, to be fair. But I mean, his content is like top notch in terms of quality. So I would definitely recommend that as well. One of my favorites is I'm going to give out 2, because one of them is OCG related, but it somewhat relates to TCG, obviously. D-Summon is one of, probably in my opinion, the best OCG related channels that like actually like speaks English. And basically just does a bunch of OCG deck breakdowns, OCG meta breakdowns, does like just little combo tutorial videos that just show like a Dev Pro replay of like some crazy new combo that might have just gotten discovered, like, you know, with Grinder Golem or anything like that. And it's just like a 2-minute video, short, sweet, to the point, and you know exactly what the combo is. I think he is extremely underrated. I think he only has like 6,000 or 7,000 subs. Maybe, I might be wrong. I haven't checked his sub count in a while. But he's highly underrated. And then I kind of want to like shout out a non-OCG related channel as well. But I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who that would be. Man, I mean, I really want to shout out RJB0, but he doesn't make content anymore. But I love him because he's like one of my best friends. So I'll just shout him out. Go check out RJB0. He does a lot of content about like the business aspects of this game, just a lot of very good like theory behind the game, even though he rarely makes content, but he's well deserving of any subs he has, so go check him out too.
Awesome. So we are going to wrap it up here. It sadly is time to end the show. I know a lot of us wish it could go on forever, but I am out of questions and I want to try to make this as least awkward as I possibly can, because oh boy were those first 3 really rough. Especially when I'd have to stop and go and browse Reddit for questions for posts that I had from days earlier. So as Cimo said earlier, you can find him on YouTube at youtube.com/Cimo with 8 O's. You can subscribe to his Twitch where you can get some sick Cimo emotes. How often do you stream? Do you have a set schedule for people to watch?
I do not have a set schedule yet. I'm working on it. But if you follow the Twitch, I also announce it on YouTube when I do go on Twitch. So even if you just subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, you'll know when I'm on Twitch. But Twitch emotes, you get the Cimogasm emote, which is a very perverse looking emote of me when I'm doing some certain things. So you might like that emote if you subscribe on Twitch.
He also has a Patreon where you can support his show for all of the great enthusiastic Yu-Gi-Oh content. And now to talk about me, because I am the narcissist that hosts this show, of course, you can find me at youtube.com/Civit. If you like this show, I ask that you please subscribe and like. Also leave questions for further or future guests. And who else would you like to have on? I'm currently going to record actually with MST.TV's Tombox next. And perfect. I'm in talks with trying to get Yugi No No on. But who else would you guys like to have on the show? If you guys liked it, or you liked my Everything Wrong With series, I ask that you possibly please donate to my Patreon if you can. Any amount helps. It just helps get further fund the show, and considering now that I'm going to have this as my full-time job, it is kind of important that I'm able to pay the bills. Especially with
he puts a lot of work into that, you guys.
And if you donate at least a minimum $1, you could join my Discord server and talk to me. I know you don't really want to, but you have the status that you can.
Yeah, he forced me on the show.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you'll get. Don't worry, the check's in the mail. I hope you don't spend anything too big on it. It's gonna bounce.
It's okay.
But thank you for coming on, man. It's been an honor getting to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's I love just, like I said, I like just doing this just so people can get to know us better, because people, I feel like, tend to put us on a pedestal sometimes, which is kind of awkward and really, like, weird to me, and it's kind of weird to get used to. But I mean, you know, we're just like you guys, you know, we're just players. We love the game just as much as you do. We're just, you know, we're just the face behind YouTube. So
I know no one sees me as that, but I'm going to put it out there anyway to make myself seem like a big deal, and I'm just a regular guy. But as I said earlier, man, thanks for coming on. And see you next time, guys.
Take care, everyone.